Hello everybody, you are listening to Feed Your Mind. And so the question of today is, did dinosaurs exist? Well, there seems to be a good amount who believe they did not exist due to the fake bones. But the thing is, there's been reports of soft tissue being found in dinosaur bones. Skin, ligaments, blood, bone marrow, and more. And so I tend to support that dinosaurs were probably some type of creatures that once walked this earth. And in this video, we will cover what these creatures might have been and much more. And so many scientists credit William Buckland in 1824 for discovering the Megalosaurus. And so apparently this was the first dinosaur said to be found. But it wasn't until around 1858 when scientists claimed to have found the most complete skeleton of a dinosaur. And so yes, there was many disagreements between scientists around that time, and there was even a public feud when one scientist claimed that the skeleton was put together wrong. There was also discrepancies on the names of these dinosaurs. Some of these dinosaurs were being named twice and whatnot. As I have observed many dinosaur bones, some dinosaur bones appear to be authentic, others are obviously a replica of the original. And so there's definitely been some type of interference with the presentation of these bones. There's definitely limited quantity of dinosaur bones available for these museums, so it doesn't really surprise me that some museums might put up some replicas. But if you happen to come across a dinosaur skeleton that looks very authentic, it's usually not a whole skeleton. It's most likely going to be the head of the dinosaur or some other parts of it. There's also an issue of preservation of these bones that I believe some museums might keep the originals put away because they don't want to display the originals due to concerns of preservation of these unique and rare skeletons. We'll get into many more details as to why I believe dinosaurs exist later on in this video, so let's keep it moving. And so the soft tissue that was found in these dinosaur bones debunks carbon dating. The science of carbon dating has always actually been in question anyways. And then there has been reports of human footprints alongside dinosaur footprints, which suggests there was a time when dinosaurs roamed the earth at the same time as man. And I believe findings like the soft tissue and the reports of the footprints are largely ignored by scientists and the organization of science deliberately because it goes against their whole belief system. Like I've said in previous videos, science is an organized group who must vote and agree on things before things are published and let into official science documents. And so in my research, I've actually traced evidence of dinosaurs back throughout the times of mankind, throughout ancient Chinese civilizations, throughout ancient Europe, and definitely in the medieval times when dinosaurs were being depicted as dragons. And even Satan was referred to as a dragon, and then it makes you wonder if this was a literal dragon. I believe that dinosaurs are definitely linked to the dragon myths. And so most of us remember lots of tales during the medieval times where knights were fighting fire-breathing dragons in order to save the damsel in distress. This also happened to be the time when everybody knew the earth was flat. And so if scientists have successfully hidden flat earth for the last 500 years, then is it not also possible that dinosaurs could have coexisted with mankind not too long ago as well? As far back as 300 BC, there's been reports of the Chinese finding bones, which they considered to be dragon bones. And they were said to use these bones and turn them into medicines. And there's also reports of these ancient Chinese civilizations worshipping the dragon. And when you dig deeper into the name dragon, you start to find out that the name dragon is strongly related to a giant snake. So according to the Bible, Adam and Eve were placed in the Garden of Eden. And so they were living very good until the devil came down and started tampering with this Garden of Eden, and he began lurking through this garden in the form of a serpent-like creature, maybe as some type of creature like how David Icke says the lizard people. And so the serpent-like creature apparently had legs and arms at first. And in Chinese artistry, they seem to worship this dragon-like creature with arms and legs that looks like a serpent. So I don't know if that's a depiction of the devil from the Garden of Eden, but wow. It's quite a resemblance. And there was even this movie released a while ago. It was called Dragon Wars. And the movie depicted the same serpent-like creature that has apparently been hiding underground for a long time in order to conceal its identity from the world. Because the strategy of this creature seems to be if it can disappear and make people believe that God does not exist and the devil does not exist. I think it takes that as a win. And so the serpent creature tricked Adam and Eve into disobeying God. And so the devil got Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. And Adam also joined, thus getting them kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And the serpent was also punished, and its legs and arms were removed. It was forced to slither on his belly as a snake. This creature could actually still be here on Earth somewhere, probably underground. And from the depictions I've seen of it, it's a massive snake. It would be like a dinosaur-sized snake. And so once Adam and Eve were forced to leave this garden, they were apparently forced onto this earth area that we actually live on now. And so I believe that dinosaurs may have been created during the time of Noah. And this was before the great flood. And the book of Genesis and Enoch goes on to describe these fallen angels came down and made it with the women and created giant beings. Genesis 6:4 says, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, the men of renown. And so these Nephilim children were half angel, half human, and were said to go on to be worshipped as the gods of the earth. And so the Bible suggests that these were literal beings that were once walking the earth, and they were giants. There's been stories like Hercules and many other tales of these giant creatures, even Goliath of the Bible. But the interesting thing is when the book of Enoch goes into much more details about these Nephilims, and it goes on to say that they took themselves wives, each choosing one, and they began to go into them and defile themselves with them. They taught them charms and enchantments, also the cutting of roots to make them skillful with herbs. They became expectant and bore great giants, whose heights were 3,000 ells. And it goes on to say how these Nephilims devoured people. But here's where it gets interesting. It says, the Nephilim started to sin against birds, beasts, reptiles, fish, and then devour one another's bodies, even drinking the blood. And so this passage is saying that these Nephilims were beginning to sin against birds and reptiles and fish. And so this passage appears to be the moment when dinosaurs and these beasts were being born upon the earth. And it also makes me question about animals like sharks and alligators, tigers, wolves, all the vicious versions of various animals that are very carnivorous. It almost makes you wonder if even these animals were the result of some type of interaction with the fallen demons and whatever they were mating with. As the book of Enoch said, they were defiling animals, meaning that they were creating hybrids of animals that was mixed with these fallen angels. So these animals would be half fallen angel, half beast. So this could very well be where these dinosaur bones may have came from. You could almost begin to wonder if any of this is connected to the Greek and Egyptian mythological creatures as well. And so there's a secret society called the Skull and Bones Society, and now we must wonder if the Skull and Bones Society actually has the remains of these Nephilims and these giants displayed in their secret underground museums. And they probably have dinosaur bones as well down there, which are actually bones of these demonic beasts, which used to be called dragons. And I'm thinking that these secret societies are hiding these bones away because they don't want the public to see that there was giant people that were once on this earth. They were able to explain away the dinosaur bones, but there's no way they would be able to explain giant human skeleton remains. So before I get out of here, allow me to go over a few scriptures that appear to be talking about these giant creatures that may have walked this earth. There's scriptures like Isaiah 27:1 that says, in the day the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. And so this scripture speaks of the Leviathan, the sea dragon. It's a serpent-like creature that is said to dwell in the abyss. And some have wondered if this sea serpent could actually be the Loch Ness Monster who might possibly be able to come up to the surface once in a while. And so there has been reports of sea serpents and sea monsters like the Loch Ness Monster. Let's go over a couple more scriptures. Let's check out Isaiah 51:9. And that goes on to say, awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of the Lord. Awake as in the ancient days, in the generations of old. Art thou not it that hath cut Rahab and wounded the dragon? And so this Rahab is said to have been a sea monster of the abyss as well. And from my research, it wasn't completely clear if this is the same creature as the Leviathan. These might actually be two different creatures. And I've mentioned before in one of my videos that outside of the dome firmament, there could possibly be creatures that swim around. And so there has been recordings of noises heard across the world, and I've linked it to a whale-like sound. And in the video, I was able to connect the dots between the possible sounds being heard across the world with creatures that might be swimming beneath or outside the dome firmament. Now, the book of Job not only discusses the Leviathan, which is said to be a serpent-like creature in the sea, but in Job chapter 40, verse 15, it also goes on to mention a behemoth creature. And there's many who believe that Job might be describing a dinosaur. So Job chapter 40, verse 15 through 17 goes on to say, "Behold now behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo now his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar." So the scripture speaks of a very large herbivore creature that is not able to be caught, drinks lots of water, and has a tail like a cedar. This creature was said to eat grass and is not able to be caught. And so many biblical scholars believe that the scripture is referring to a brontosaurus-like creature. And so let's conclude this video with Matthew 24:37, and that goes on to say, "But as the days of Noah was, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." The scripture references the days of Noah, and like we covered in this video, the days of Noah was when the fallen angels were messing with the human women, and according to the book of Enoch, they were also mating with the animals. And so it was said that the reason for Noah's flood was because the earth was corrupted with the seed of demons and the fallen angels mating with the human women and animals. And with all of these hybrid creatures and whatnot, God couldn't allow that to go on. And so that appears to be why the dinosaurs were not allowed on the ark. And so the dinosaurs would have perished during the flood, and that's why they're extinct to this day. And if you've ever wondered how Noah fit all of the animals on the ark, I will be discussing that in another video. I'm not sure what channel I'm going to put it on yet, so make sure you enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com so you don't miss the video. Check out my Proof Sciences religious playlist for much more information. I'll leave the link in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. Please join the Feed Your Mind VIP room for early releases, free gifts, and much more. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure to include your favorite Flat Earth proof when you're automatically entered into a chance to win a free gift from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. Please click your notification bell. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.